सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Let us chant the first two verses together. ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः पुरुषोत्तमयोगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्। प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके। So the 15th chapter, Purushottama Yoga, the chapter doesn't begin with a question by Arjuna, as in very many cases, very many chapters. In this, Bhagavan himself volunteers to give the spiritual knowledge to Arjuna. So here the chapter begins with a description of samsāra vriksha. So what is being said? Arjuna, the wise people, they talk of a tree. What is the name of the tree? Ashvattha tree. Now ashvattha tree is people tree. It is not banyan tree. Many people get confused here. It is not banyan, it is people tree. So they talk of a tree, ashvattha tree, which is imperishable and which is upside down. Urdhvamulam, the roots are upwards. So yesterday we had seen what are these roots. It is the main root of the tree. So what is this root? It is none other than the Supreme Lord. Just as a tree has no existence without the root, the tree gets nourishment from the root, and the roots are not seen, only the tree is seen. In the same way, Bhagavan is the very cause of the universe. It is urdhvam because to understand Bhagavan is difficult. It is urdhvam because it is the cause, karanat. It is urdhvam because it gives the very existence to the entire universe. It gives nourishment to this universe. So because of all these reasons, Bhagavan himself is called urdhvam. So the root of this tree is none other than Bhagavan himself. Then what are the leaves? Chandamsi yasya parnani. The leaves of this tree the samsara tree, the leaves are nothing but the Veda mantras. The Veda mantras present in the karma-kānda portion of the Vedas. See, in life, there are 4 stages which every individual has to go through. The first stage, the most immature stage is, world alone is, there is no God. This is how everyone begins. What is the first step? There is no God, because I am not able to see God, I am not able to perceive God, I am not able to feel God, therefore there is no God. Then what there is? The world I am seeing, therefore there is only world. So there is only world, there is no God. This is the first step. But when difficulties come, when suffering come, when he has tried all the methods in the world to come out of the difficulty, come out of the suffering, then somebody tells him, please chant the name of the Lord. At least as a test. At least test whether there is God or not. So as a last resort, he tries out God as an experimental basis. And then mysteriously he finds that whenever he has taken the problem to this unknown God, his problems are solved. So when you have one such experience, next time when the problem comes, what will be the natural inclination? The natural inclination will be to take the problem again to God. Isn't it? When time and again this happens, that whenever I take my problem to God, I don't know who is He. But one thing I am sure, whenever I have surrendered unto Him, that unknown power, whenever I have taken my problems to Him, I have found satisfactory solution. I have found best solution. So slowly what happens is, the faith in God increases, the trust in God increases, the love for God increases, the devotion for God increases, the relationship with God increases. This is the second stage. So what is the second stage? World is the goal, God is the means. What is the first step? There is no God, there is only world. What is the second step? The second step is, there is this world, world alone is the goal, there is God also, let us make the God a means to reach the world. So I have full of desires, I have worldly desires, I have desire for name, fame, power, position, roti, kapda, makan, all these desires I have. So in order to fulfill these desires, worldly desires, what do? I take the help of that unknown power called God. This is where karma-kānda comes into picture. Yesterday we were discussing the first portion of the Vedas. It has its own place. It has its own importance. This particular portion is meant for those people who are the beginners in spirituality. So the karma-kānda portion says, oh my dear child, perform this yaga, this homa, this mantra, live in discipline, do some upavasa. So some discipline is mentioned there. So in order to do homa, havana, etc., you will have to remain in discipline. So the senses have to be under discipline, mind has to be under control. So little by little, what does this karma-kānda do? Showing the goal as the world. Karma-kānda slowly, step by step, makes this person dependent on God so that he can achieve his worldly goals. This is the purpose of karma-kānda. So in karma-kānda, you will not find any kind of knowledge. What is found in karma-kānda? Lot of karma, disciplined action. Action is given more importance. Right? Then slowly what happens is, through karma-kānda, when this person lives a disciplined life, the purpose of disciplined life is only one, to attain worldly goal. So in the process, as I said, the faith, the love, the trust, devotion for God slowly starts increasing, and a time comes when he starts depending more on God than on world. A time comes when he comes to know that even if there are worldly tragedies, if Bhagavan is there with me, if I intuitively feel the presence of the Lord, then I am at peace. Slowly his philosophy changes. Earlier his philosophy was, world is the source of happiness. Slowly that philosophy changes. It becomes, God is the source of happiness. So he goes to the next stage. What is the next stage? God is the goal, world is the means. Are you able to follow? This is the evolution which happens in everyone. Slowly, God dependence becomes more important. And such a person becomes a karma yogi, which is the main essence of the 3rd chapter. So in karma yoga, what happens? This person performs actions not for getting anything from the world, but only to please his beloved Lord. Because the relationship has become so strong with God, he now intuitively feels the presence of God. So what is the most important thing in his life? The most important thing in his life is, oh Lord, may this relationship with you remain untarnished, remain firm. So all actions he performs only for one, for the sake of God. Because according to him, if God is happy, I am happy. If God is unhappy, I am miserable. So he becomes a karma yogi. From then onwards, what is his philosophy? God is the goal, world is only a means. This is the 3rd stage. And for such a person, what happens is the mind becomes extremely pure. And in such a pure mind, the highest knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, he becomes fit to receive this knowledge. Then what happens? Bhagavan himself, out of grace and compassion, provides him a guru. That is the final stage. And from guru, he does shravana, then manana, then nididhyasana. He gets an opportunity to listen to the scriptural knowledge. And by listening to these knowledge, all his doubts get vanished. He contemplates on the truth, and the final culmination of this knowledge is the direct experience, aham brahma asmi. The final experience is, God alone is, world is an illusion, and that God is none other than my own true nature, my own self. That is the final stage. What is the final stage? God alone is, world is an illusion. Brahma satyam, jagat mithya. So what is the first stage? World alone is, there is no God. Second stage, world is also there, God is also there, but for me, world is more important. World is first priority, God is only a means. What is the third stage? God is the goal, world is the means. And what is the final stage? God alone is. Now where does the karma-kānda portion come? Karma-kānda portion is for the beginner. Karma-kānda portion is for introducing God into our life. So when you introduce God into our life, God is not the most important thing, world only is the most important thing, but Karma-kānda says, by holding on to God, try to fulfill your desires. And in the process, your faith, love, etc. develops, and slowly that transformation happens. God becomes more important for you. You come to know that this God is not somebody outside. He is my own true nature. He is none other than Satchit Ananda. He is my own, higher nature, which is all perfect, which is infinite, which is immortal. So therefore the purpose of life is only to know myself as I am. This portion comes in the jñāna-kānda. Is it clear? So therefore what is said here? For the samsāra vriksha, what are the leaves? Karma-kānda is the leaves. Meaning, karma-kānda will only intensify your desire for the world. It will only help nourish the samsāra in you. And it is true. Just like the leaves help the tree to grow, to get nourishment, in the same way, the karma-kānda portion of the Veda, not the jñāna-kānda, the karma-kānda helps the samsaric tree to grow. So such a person who knows these two, the root of the tree and the branches and the leaves, such a person is a Vedavid. He knows everything. Now, a greater detail is given about this samsāra vriksha. So that is verse number 2. So first let us see the literal meaning of this verse. So what is being said? Now the description of the samsāra vriksha is given. So what is the definition of samsāra? Samsarati iti samsāraha. The experience of constant change. So this has to be kept in mind. Right. Now the description of this samsāra vriksha. What is being said? Tasya shakha of this samsāra tree, its branches, adha cha urdhvam prasrutaha, of this samsāra vriksha, its branches are spread. Where is it spread? Adha, downwards, urdhvam, upwards. So here is a tree, samsāra vriksha, with roots up. And now where are its branches? The branches are spread all over, above and below. How does it gain its nourishment? Guna pravruddhaha. It is nourished by the gunas. Vishaya pravalaha. And it has got the buds, the shoots as vishaya, as sense objects. And then adhascha mulani anusantatani karma anubandhini manushya loke. It has got the secondary roots also. Mulani anusantatani. The primary root has been mentioned as God. Now the secondary roots, these secondary roots also spread everywhere. As a consequence of karma, karma anubandhini. And these secondary roots, they spread into the manushya loke, into the human world. Now what does it mean? Now let us start step by step. First let us take this term Vishaya Pravalaha. Pravala means a shoot, a nodular bud. Means what? See, if you have seen the tree, if the branch has to come, what is the first stage when that branch comes out? It comes as a bud, isn't it? Small bud. And slowly, slowly, slowly the bud grows. And ultimately it becomes a big branch. Isn't it? Now, that first initial stage of that bud is called pravala. Pravala means the bud, nodular bud, or it is called as shoot. Right? Which ultimately becomes the branch. So what are the comparisons here? The shoot is the sense object. The branch which spreads above and below, these branches are nothing but the 14 worlds. Each and every comparison is important. The branches are compared with the 14 worlds, above and below. Because we have 7 worlds above and 7 worlds below. What are the worlds? Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, mahaha, janaha, tapaha, satyam. Bhūloka means this world. So then there are 6 higher worlds. Bhuhu, bhuvaha, suvaha, mahaha, janaha, tapaha, satyam. Satyaloka is the final. Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, both are same. What are the lower ones? Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. 7 lower worlds. So these are figuratively represented as the branches which are spreading above and below. Right? Swamiji, what is the proof that these worlds exist or not? You can neither prove it nor can you disprove it. We can't prove it or disprove it because we don't have the means to know. What is the color of this book? Blue, isn't it? How did you know? You have the means to know. And what is the means to know this color? Eyes. It is called as pramanam. In Sanskrit, the term is pramanam. You have to apply the pramana to get the prama, knowledge. Apply the means of knowledge to gain the knowledge. If you want to know the sound, you will have to apply the means of knowledge. What is the means? Ears. Suppose there is a blind person and you show a red flower and ask him, what is the color? He is blind. Will he be able to answer? No. Why he is not able to answer? Because he doesn't have the means to know. Only when you have the means to know, you can gain the knowledge. With ears, you can't find out the color. Isn't it? In the same way, whether these worlds exist or not, we don't have the means to know it. In the human body, the means are not given. So then what is the way? The only way is you will have to depend on the scriptures, on the Vedas. What do the Vedas say? That is final. Right? Atindriya vishaye vedaha pramanam. Atindriya vishaye, subject matters where our senses are helpless. In those regions, what is the means of knowledge? Vedas are the means of knowledge. Now, coming back to this topic. So there are 14 worlds. This is one among the 14 worlds. This is called bhūloka or manushya loka. So what is being said here? So in this tree there are these branches spread all over. So this shoot from which the branches come, that shoot is nothing but the sense object. What are these branches? The 14 worlds. Branch equal to world, shoot equal to sense object. Then comes the secondary root. Mūlāni anusantatani. Secondary root means what? It is not primary root. Primary root is also called as tap root. Main root. Which is the main root in this tree? Urdhva moolam. Already it has been said. It is none other than Bhagavan. Secondary roots are the roots which spread everywhere. Now, what is the relationship between the shoot and the root? You will find as the shoot grows, it demands more and more nourishment. When the shoot demands more and more nourishment, what will these secondary roots do? It starts spreading, isn't it? Now see the connection. As the secondary root starts spreading, it gains more and more nourishment, and thus the shoot is nourished further, to extend further. When it extends further, there is greater need of nourishment. When there is greater need of nourishment, the secondary root still advances further. So there is a relationship. The shoot grows, and when it grows, there is a greater need for nourishment, and the secondary roots also grow. As the secondary root grows, the shoot also grows, and slowly this shoot becomes a branch. Right? And in the process, the secondary roots have grown far and wide. Now what are these secondary roots? They are none other than vasanas in us, ragadveshas in us, the impressions, the inclinations. Now all this point you have to keep in mind. What is the main root? Paramatma. What are the leaves? Veda mantras. What is the branch? Worlds. What is the shoot? Sense object. What are the secondary roots? Vasanas. Okay? Now, we are not talking of some tree, we are talking of each and every individual. Now what is being said here is, every one of us in this world, what are we doing? We go through various experiences, isn't it? What do you mean experiences? We are exposed to sense objects, we interact with the sense objects, and in the process of interaction, ragadveshas are formed, vasanas are formed, and based on these vasanas we perform action, karma-kānda. And based on this action, slowly, those sense objects which we love, they become a part of our life. Those sense objects towards which we develop a kind of liking, those sense objects become a part of our life, and accordingly our personality is molded, the world around us is molded, our likes and dislikes are molded, our daily routine is changed, and slowly what happens is, we change, our environment change, the world around us change. And this change, the set of change, is what is called as samsāra. Let me give an example. Recently when I was conducting a yajna in Mumbai, I happened to visit one devotee of ours. So we had a chat. He was working in a coffee industry, a multinational company. So he asked him, "Sir, you have done your mechanical engineering. How come you are in this coffee industry?" Then he started telling his story. "Swamiji, let me tell you how it started. So I had an earlier job. So one day, on a Monday, at 11 o'clock, my colleague, he invited me. Let us go for a cup of coffee. Let us take a break." So I went along with him. I had not tasted coffee till then. So we had a chat on a cup of coffee. And then what happened? I liked it. That experience of coffee, I liked it very much. So Tuesday, next day, again he called. I was very much willing to go. So this started happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, slowly, exactly at 11 a.m., this alarm would ring in me that it's coffee time. So from Monday till Saturday, during the office time, at 11 o'clock, I used to have coffee with him. Now what happened on Sunday? It's a holiday. Exactly at 11 o'clock, this craving became intense in me. Then I thought, I should not depend on somebody else for coffee. It is always better to have our own system. Coffee making mechanism, the technique I must learn. I must have all the devices for coffee because it is such a wonderful experience. So therefore, Swamiji, I got all those things. That decoction maker, and that what you call coffee powder, that sugar, everything I got it. Not only I got it, I learnt it also, how to make it. So that I need not depend on anyone else. I need not depend on any time for having coffee. Not only I learned how to make coffee, I taught my wife also how to make coffee. Right? Then you know, Swamiji, what happened? Slowly, I felt that early morning also I should have. I felt that in the evening also I should have. So then the friends started coming. Whoever used to come, whether it's a friend or a relative or a neighbor, the first thing I would do is I would go in the kitchen, I would make coffee and give it to him. The people who used to come, they also started liking it. And now slowly it became a part of my routine life. So in the morning, I would go with my friends and relatives and neighbors for a walk, and all of them would sit, they would come to my house, they would sit together and have one cup of coffee. This slowly, this became a what you call regular event. Everyone would look forward for it. Every function would have this gathering over a cup of coffee. You know, Swamiji, what happened slowly? People started gifting me the packets of coffee powder during my birthdays and wedding anniversaries. Because he is a lover of coffee. So naturally his friend, what would they gift him? You normally gift a person only that which he or she loves, isn't it? Now slowly these packets started coming to me. So whenever a friend of mine used to go abroad to Singapore or Thailand or wherever, there he would come and he would say, do you know this packet? It is specially made in such and such country, with such and such flavor, with such and such brand, this is the name. And all those friends and relatives, they started gifting him packets of coffee. Now there were so many coffee packets that he had to construct a shelf in his house for arranging them, assorting them. Right? And now he has got the taste of every coffee made in every country, made by every brand, company. He was so interested in how this coffee was made to such an extent that whenever he had free time, whenever there was this vacation, he would go to coffee plantations. He would go there, spend some time with the farmers there. He would stay along with them, and he would see how this plantation, how these, these plants are grown, how they process it. He visited the processing units also. And slowly, he gained such a thorough knowledge about this coffee that even one sip of any unknown coffee, he can say from which country it was made, which flavor, everything he knew. He had become a master. In the whole village, he was known coffee man. The whole city or whatever. One day what happened? A journalist from a very well-known newspaper, he came. He said, sir, every Sunday we normally release one supplement, Sunday supplement. And we normally highlight a unique personality in the society. So we thought we will cover your story also. Because you are so famous here in the city for having such a mastery, such an expertise in this, in this field called coffee. So I want your experiences, how it all started. So then he narrated the whole story. Within few days, the supplement was released. So in the newspaper, this article came. Here is a person who is an expert. He just drinks a coffee and he can tell the whole thing. Within few days after this releasing newspaper, he gets a call from a very, famous multinational coffee company. They call him and said, sir, we had seen such an article about you. We are looking for a person who is able to rate the quality of the coffee, and we find that you are the right person. So we would like to interview you. The interview was done and he was successful with flying colors. The company absorbed him with a very high pay scale. Why am I telling all this story? I am not interested in coffee, nor am I interested in this coffee man. I am talking of how the samsāra tree grows. Where did the whole thing begin? He was not even aware of the coffee. Someday he was exposed to a sense object called coffee. That is the pravala, vishaya pravala. Isn't it? Then what happened? Mere exposure will not do. You will have to interact with the sense object. You will have to experience it. You will have to indulge in it. He took it. Then what happened? An impression was formed in the mind. What is the impression? This is nice. That this is nice is called mulani. Drinking the coffee is karma. What happened after karma? Karma anubandhini. As a consequence of karma, what has happened? A mula has come. Mula means a secondary root. I like it. This is nice. And because this is nice, let me make it a part of my life. Let me indulge in it again and again. So what is happening to karma now? Karma is repetitive. As the karma becomes more and more, what is happening to the roots, the vasanas? It is increasing. As it is increasing, what is happening to the shoot? All those coffee-loving friends, they came to him. Slowly, a coffee world was formed around him. People started gifting him coffee packets. See, they're all sense objects. Now just see how the shoot is growing and slowly becoming a branch. Branch means what? What is branch? The world around you. Just see how the world around you is changing. In this case, the person leaves his profession and goes to a profession where there is only coffee and coffee everywhere. Isn't it? He goes to a coffee world. Who has created the world? He himself. How did he create the world? By developing likes and dislikes. Isn't it? This is not the story of only this person. This is the story of each and every one of us. You have to just observe your own life and you will find how the world is forming around you. There is a shoot and there are roots. I met another person. He was a yoga instructor. The story is the same. So he said, Swamiji, so I asked him, how come you are interested in yoga? So then he started narrating his story. So he was suffering severely from asthma. He tried out allopathy, ayurveda, homeopathy, all pathis he tried. Nothing was working. And then the doctors also said, see, this is a hopeless case. Because your father has it, your mother has it, your entire, it is there in your genes. So you will have to live with it. This was the instruction given by some famous doctor. So he was suffering. And one day what happened? Somebody came to him and said, Arey, why don't you try even this also? There is an ashram in such and such place. They are offering this course, 10 days course. Why don't you just join them? And they say that they can cure all these kind of things. Then as a trial he went there. And there was this yoga master, some 80 years old, very strong, healthy, radiant. So he said, sir, I have such a history. I have been suffering from asthma for so many years. Now it's around 30 years. Is there a cure for asthma? And then this yoga master said, what asthma? Nothing will come near you. But you have to do exactly what I say. He said, I am ready to do anything because I have suffered so much because of asthma. All the nights I would sit with all the 3-4 pillows, etc., wheezing and wheezing, not allowing anyone to sleep in the house. And after 3-4 days, I am reduced to skin and bone. That wheezing is so heavy. And in those days, etc., they don't have these nebulizers and what you call inhalers and all those. You have to suffer. I can't walk, I can't sit, I can't lie down. I have suffered so much because of this devil. I am ready to do anything, sir. Then this yoga master said, okay, fine, come with me. Next day, 4 o'clock you have to get up. Okay. Keep on pouring cold water upon your head for 20 minutes. Then lie down in this water, what you call that? Water tub, spinal bath. Cold water again for 20 minutes. Lie down. He was stunned. He said, sir, will you kill me? Are you going to kill me or not? Because I have heard that cold water, etc., asthmatic people, they should not take. Only hot water bath should be taken. He said, just shut your mouth and do what I say. He said, done. For these 10 days, whatever you say, I am going to do it. So early morning, getting up and cold water bath and then spinal bath and then I don't know what all things, vastraneti and jalaneti. You have to eat 7 meter of cloth, you have to eat. And then once everything is gone in, then you have to pull it out. Then you have to put some tube inside your nose, etc., clean it. So many things. And then early morning, 1 hour solid yoga with pranayama in the empty stomach. So this yoga master had given all tough ones because he was a youngster. And then no coffee, no tea, only some kind of some Ayurvedic powder with some jaggery and all that. Then no fried items, all raw vegetables. This was the kind of breakfast he was given. And again yoga, again at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 evening. And before 6, you have to have your, what you call that, dinner. And that dinner also maybe 2 chapatis or some sabji or something. After that, you are not supposed to eat anything. He lived there for 10 days. And he could find the difference. He continued that practice and he found that this asthma was totally gone within few months. Then what happened? Meanwhile, he had studied a lot of literature also, and he found that health is very much related to your prana shakti. Health is very much related to your food, the kind of food you take. And slowly his philosophy about health changed. And then he went in that, what you call, Bangalore, there is a yoga research institute in Jigni, Vyasa or something. Vivekananda Yoga Center or something. There he went and he got a certificate in some diploma course, and now he is a yoga instructor. Again, why am I telling all this? My purpose is not to make you all a yoga, what you call, yogis. That is not my goal. My goal is only to explain what is this samsāra. Somewhere you were exposed to something, you developed a like for it, and then you pursued it, and slowly the world around you starts changing. Isn't it? On the head of a Newton, what fell? Apple fell. If apple falls on our head, what we would have done? Like a cow, we would have eaten it. Isn't it? But what did Newton do? That became a Vishaya Pravala. He thought, why it fell? And then he started pursuing it. Moolani, karma-kānda. He started pursuing it more and more. And finally the world knows what he has done. He came up with the discovery of the laws of gravitation. Isn't it? How did it happen? He pursued it. Why did he pursue? This is the answer. Guna pravriddha. Why is it that we pursue only a particular thing and not others? It all depends on the gunas which are there in you. A sattvic person will be attracted towards sattvic sense object, and thus he pursues the sattvic sense object and creates a sattvic world around him. A rajasic person will be tuned, will be scintillated, will be activated only by a rajasic sense object, and thus a rajasic world is found around him. A tamasic person, in fact, create a tamasic world. That is why guna pravrittaha, nourished by the gunas in that particular person. So just imagine, each and every one of us, we are nothing but huge ashvattha tree sitting. Such stories are there for each and every one of us or not? Some has created a scientific, what you call, samsāra vriksha, a scientific world. Another has created a medical world. Another person has created an automobile world. Another person has created a cricket world, football world, hockey world. Isn't it? If you see our own life, we have all created a world around us. The samsāra vriksha which we are talking of, it is not something outside, it is something within. Are you able to relate to it? There is a sattvic samsara also. So once upon a time you were not interested in all these Bhagavad Gita, etc. You were very much a worldly person, instead interested only in worldly pursuit. The latest restaurants, latest movie theaters, latest chart shop, you were interested only in this. And suddenly, because of some God's grace or something, you happen to listen to some Bhagavad Gita talks, a spiritual talk. Till then you had the opinion that these Bhagavad Gita etc. is meant only for the retired and the old, good for nothing people. That was the kind of opinion you had. But then when you started listening to these talks, you felt that this is talking about me. It is something which has the potential to change my life. You started valuing this Gita. Then what happens to your life? Just see how the world is changing. Earlier you had a worldly friend circle, and once you start becoming spiritual, you started having a spiritual friend circle. And see what is happening to your personality. As you start listening to these Gita, these such kind of talks, you start valuing it. And because you start valuing it, you spend more and more time for it. And now see how your whole daily routine changes. You start getting early in the morning, take bath, sit for meditation, sit for prayer, listen to these kinds of talks, read some spiritual books. Earlier, all these things never had any place in your life. Now slowly these things start entering into your life, isn't it? And accordingly your way of thinking also changes. Accordingly your way of handling life also changes. Accordingly your knowledge, the depth of the knowledge of the scriptures also changes. You gain more and more knowledge. You gain more and more knowledge because you are spending more and more time. And because there is more and more knowledge, there is more and more clarity in life, in understanding life. Isn't it? Have you seen these changes in you? And slowly what has happened? The old worldly friend circle, they are replaced by the spiritual people, the devotees. And see how your world is changing now. Today all of you are sitting here. There are so many things happening in the city. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, all kinds of things are happening in the city. Why you have chosen to come to this place, to attend this function? See how you are creating the world around you. Isn't it? Remember, this is also a samsara only. The only thing is, this is a sattvic samsara, that's all. Your personality changes. The kind of functions you attend, that also changes. Everything changes. Right? Are you able to understand the samsara now? So we are not talking of some branch, some root, some shoot, some. We are talking of our own self. How our life changes. When we come in contact with some sense object, when we interact with the sense object, how the vasanas change, Our inclinations change, our likes and dislikes change, our understanding about life change, and how it is reflected in the outer world. That is what is being discussed now. Right? So each and every one of us, we are a live, sitting, talking samsāra vriksha. The only thing is, I will not know what kind of samsāra vriksha is there in you. You will not know what is there in me. But each one of us, we know our vriksha, isn't it? Now here, what is said is, adhascha mūlāni anusantatani karma-kānda manushya loke. Now what is the significance of this manushya loka? It is said in the scriptures that in these 14 worlds, this world, bhūloka, is the only world which is karma bhūmi. All the other worlds are bhoga bhūmi. This alone is karma yoni, all the others are bhoga yoni. Bhoga yoni means what? You don't perform action, you only exhaust. Whether it is papa or punya, you only exhaust. You only go through the experience, you don't perform any action. Whereas in this world, you perform action. If you perform good action, you go to the higher worlds. If you perform bad actions, you go to the lower worlds. So that is why this term manushya loka has come. What actions you perform here will determine where you will go hereafter. But this is the law. What is the law? Each and every one of us, we are creating our own world with our own effort. The message is this. Don't blame some god, don't blame some stars, some Rahu or some Ketu or some Shani. No. Each and every one of us, we are the creators of our own destiny. This is the message. So if I am going through some bad times in my life, who has to be blamed? Don't blame anyone. As you sow, so shall you reap. Right? Now the question is, can we analyze this samsāra? What is this samsāra? What is this samsāra vriksha? Let us chant the next verse. So the next verse, first half is giving a little more detail about this samsāra vriksha. So the description of samsāra vriksha is first verse, second verse, and first half of the third verse. So let us see that portion also. Verse number 3. Na rūpamasyeha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha ashvattha-menam suvirūdhamūlam asanga-shastrena dridhena chitva na rūpamasyeha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha ashvattha-menam suvirūdhamūlam. Yes. Asya rūpam na labhyate. Asya rūpam means asya swarupam. Asya means what? This. What are we talking of now? We are talking of samsāra vriksha. So in this samsāra vriksha, what all things can you include? Entire personality and the world around us. This is samsāra vriksha. So what is being said here? narupam asya iha upalabhyate. When we try to analyze, inquire into this samsara vriksha, we fail miserably. We are not able to find out what is the nature of this vriksha. Why do you say so? Na antaha, na cha adihi, na cha sampratishta. This vriksha, it has neither a beginning nor an end. What to talk of the middle? Sampratishta means middle, the support, in the present. When we try to analyze this samsara vriksha, we miserably fail. Now let us talk about a tree, ashvattha tree, let us say. What is the beginning of this tree? Can you say? You may say it began as a seed, but as a seed it was there or not? From where did the seed come from? It must have come from a tree. But where did the tree come from? Now the question is, which one is the first, the tree or the seed? Will you ever be able to know? Narupamasyeha tatha upalabhyate. You will never know. Nacha adi, nacha antaha. When did it begin? You will never be able to answer. When will it end? No idea. Okay, at least in the present what it is, you start analyzing the seed, nothing is there inside. The same is true with the samsara also. The scientists are trying their level best to find out where this universe, when did it start, what is this universe, what is its support. All kinds of inquiries are going on, and even today they have only come with greater and greater confusion. Isn't it? This is written thousands of years back. Narupamasyeha tathopalabhyate. You will never be able to find out the origin of this universe. The scientists, they never listened because they never believed in the Vedas. So ultimately, what is their principle now? It is uncertainty principle. This uncertainty principle was written thousands of years back. Narupamasyeha tathopalabhyate. Suppose you ask this question, when did this universe begin? Can you find the answer? The scriptures say you can never find the answer because time and space, they are the part of the creation. When time itself is a part of the creation, how can you ask, when did this creation begin? That when shows time. But understand, the time is also a part of creation. So therefore you can never find the answer. Where did this creation begin? Again it is wrong because space is also a part of creation. You can never find the answer. Nacha sampratishta, if you try to analyze what is this world, using your telescope, find out where does this world, universe end, you will never find. Go to the space or go deep down into the ocean or go deep down into an atom. Again, narupamasyeha tathopalabhyate. From molecules you go into atom. From atom you go into subatomic particles. And further down when you go, uncertain. Nothing is seen. Only vacuum is seen. Empty space is seen. Isn't it? Nothing new is proved. Whether it is the individual or whether it is the cosmos, when you start analyzing the whole thing, you are nowhere. You have one question, you inquire, and after inquiry you come up with 10 questions. Another question we ask is, what is the cause of this birth? So the answer given is, your karma in the previous birth. So naturally again the question goes, what has led to the previous birth? So then what is the answer? Previous to previous birth, what karmas you did, that is the cause. Now where will it end? What is the first birth? Question is wrong. Because you are beginningless. Nacha adi, nacha antah. There is no beginning, there is no end. You can never find the answers to these questions. But then you can put an end to samsara. This is the greatest relief. Though you will never be able to understand what samsara is, but you can put an end. This is something strange. It is exactly like the dream world. In the dream world, you are the dreamer, you are seeing the whole dream, and you have a lot of question about this world also. Where did this world come from? Where did I come from? This question, that question. All those questions can never be answered, but one thing you can do. What is it? Wake up. And once you wake up, will you have these questions? All questions are answered. Why all questions are answered? The questioner himself is not there. That is what the spirituality aims at. Spirituality doesn't give you answers to all questions. Spirituality eliminates the questioner. And once the questioner himself is not there, who will ask question? Are you able to understand? After waking up, will you have questions about the dream? No! Finished! Matter is over. Do you have any doubts? No doubts. So here Bhagavan says, don't inquire too much into the samsara. It is beginningless. Today in this birth you have created a samsara. In your previous birth you had created another samsara. In your previous to previous birth another samsara. This is going on from beginningless time. And as long as you don't gain this knowledge, it will continue for beginningless time, endless time. So it is na adi, na antaha. It will go on and on and on. The play will continue. As long as you are interested in the play, you can continue playing. It is a timeless process. But then if you are fed up with this game, there is a way out. Do you want to put an end to this samsara? Are you fed up? Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. If you are interested in the play, then don't read Bhagavad Gita. Remain in karma-kānda only. This is jñāna-kānda. Jñāna-kānda is an axe. It is going to chop this tree off. If you want to put an end to this game, what you should do? The next line. Ashvattha-menam suvirudha-moolam. This ashvattha is suvirudha-moolam. The roots have gone so deep. You yourself, you have created these roots. You yourself, you don't have any count how many roots you have created. From the beginningless time you have been going on after sense objects. So many vasanas are created. Varieties of impressions have been created. So that is why this ashvattha is suvirudha-moolam. The roots have gone deep. So therefore the question of uprooting the ashvattha is out of question. Then what is the only way? Suvirudha-moolam asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. Cut it off. The only way you can put an end to this samsara is not trying to understand what this samsara is, but by putting an end to samsara. Chop this tree, samsara vriksha. How? Asanga shastrena, by the weapon of asanga, detachment. By the axe of detachment, chop this tree off, cut it off. All your misery, all your suffering is because of this samsara vriksha. Don't try to analyze what it is. Instead, try to put an end to it. Because if you analyze it, you will never reach anywhere. The only way is, only solution is put an end. How? Cut it off. How? Through detachment. Now what is this detachment? For that we need the fundamentals of Vedanta. This detachment is nothing but non-identification. Each and every one of us, we are pure consciousness, infinite, immortal, perfect. What is the mistake we have done? Instead of identifying with consciousness, we have identified with the body, mind, intellect. This attachment has to be chopped off. And that has to be done with acts. This topic we had discussed very many times. The concept of consciousness and the BMI. Each and every one of us, we are infinite, but because we are identified with the limited body, we experience limitation. We experience finitude. We experience samsāra. We experience individuality. And because we experience finitude, and what is the cause of this experience of limitation? Because of identification. It is not that you are not infinite. You are infinite, but because you are identified with the finite, you experience finitude, you experience limitation, and now you are trying to get out of limitation. Because your nature is unlimited. The perfect one, when it identifies with the imperfect, he experiences imperfection. Now he is trying to come out of imperfection through wrong means. That is samsāra. The whole of life, what are we trying to do? We are trying to come out of imperfection, which is self-created. And how are we trying to come out of imperfection? By trying to make the instruments perfect. By trying to make the mind, intellect, body perfect, which is impossible. This is a mistake we are doing. So what does the scripture say? Don't try to make your body, mind, intellect perfect. It is impossible. It is an endless process. What you are supposed to do is detach from it. Infinity is your nature. Just pay attention to your own true nature. Imperfection is not your nature, but you are experiencing it because of identification. So if you have to stop experiencing imperfection, the only thing you have to do is disidentification. This disidentification is what is called as asanga shastrena drudhena chitva. So here shastra means axe. So if the axe has to cut the tree, what are the conditions needed? Number one, axe has to be sharp, isn't it? With a blunt axe, if you try, axe has to be sharp. How do you sharpen the axe? By rubbing it against a stone, isn't it? The stone is nothing but the scriptures, the scriptural knowledge. And rubbing the axe, what does it mean? It is nothing but making our discriminative power strong. The sharpness of the axe is the discriminative power. What is real? What is unreal? Who am I? And what is not, which is I? I am consciousness, I am not the body. This discrimination is the sharpness of the axe. The axe may be sharp, but still you may not be able to cut the tree. Why? There is something called force also, isn't it? The force with which you strike, that force is nothing but mumukshutvam, desire for liberation. So when you have the desire for liberation, and when you have sharpened your discriminative power by contemplating upon the scriptures, then you are able to chop off this tree. And once this tree is chopped, the ego dies, the individuality dies, and what remains is only pure consciousness, which is none other than God. This is the only way, there is no other way. This topic, we will take it up a little more detail tomorrow, because this is the most important topic. The important topic is not the description of samsara tree. It is already there in each one of us. So virudha moolam. The most important topic is how to chop this tree, how to put an end to this samsāra vriksha. More detail we will see tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari